this is a remediation page for you to earn a retake on 5.1, which is evaluating a simplified version of graphing polynomials. We're going to do a lot more of this later on, but this is the initial setup. And the first few questions are just a whole bunch of vocabulary. So I want you to first write the polynomial in standard form, which means I want you to order it from least to greatest, referring to their exponents. So like I'm going to look at number 1 here. Standard form would put this term first, right? So n to the third would be the highest exponent. Next would be the n squared, so plus 9n squared, and then minus 7n. So on your remediation page, I want to see something like, okay, here's standard form. The next thing they ask for is, what is the degree? Well, the degree is the highest exponent that you see in your polynomial. So if this is a degree 3, you'll see a third power is the highest degree. Exponent, excuse me. What type is it then, or what's the name of it? So a degree 3 is called a cubic. There's a little chart in your notes you might want to refer to. You do have to have most of them memorized for the first few. So constant, linear, quadratic, cubic, and quartic. You don't have to go any further than that. And then the lead coefficient would be the number in front of your leading term. So this one's a little weird because you might not see that there is a number in front of there, but there's always an invisible 1 as a coefficient if you don't see something. So there you go. That's a lot of vocab, but that is going to be some things you got to do for me on the test, especially on the retake. So next, the general shape, which you guys can always use your graphing calculator, but what we're trying to get you to do is to not use your graphing calculator so much. If you have an even degree, meaning, quadratic or quartic, your ends are either going to go up, up, or they're going to go down, down, depending on their leading coefficient. If you have an odd degree, so like a line or a cubic, 5th power, your ends are either going to go down on the left and up on the right, or they're going to reverse, they're going to reflect. And the way you know whether they open, up versus down, or down left, or up left, has to do with the lead coefficient. If you have a positive lead coefficient for a quadratic or a quadratic cousin, you're going to go up, up. If you have a negative lead coefficient, they're going to go down, down. Similarly for the cubics and all the relatives of the cubics, if you have a positive lead coefficient, the left side goes up and the right side goes, I said that backwards. The left side goes down and the right side goes up. For an odd degree, left side will go up, right side will go down. If you have, an odd degree with a negative coefficient. So obviously you have a graphing calculator, so if you really got in a jam, you'd be fine. But good for the no calculator part of the SAT, we should know this. The general shape for number 5, for instance, you have a negative, and it's a quadratic, so the ends, and I really know exactly what this looks like, guys. It's literally a quadratic that's been reflected, so I know it looks like that. When I think about number 7, though, without a calculator, I should be able to determine, okay, here's my lead term. It's got a negative coefficient, and it's a cubic, so that means the left side will go up and the right side will go down, like this. Now, what happens in the middle, I don't know. But they don't really, what we're really getting after is general shape and end behavior. That's what we're trying to get to connect. Speaking of end behavior, you have to know that little template. So, the template for end behavior is f of x approaches something as your x's go to the left, which we say is negative infinity. And then another similar looking end behavior is f of x approaches something as your x's go to the right, which we say that is saying x goes to positive infinity. So we really have to get used to saying, okay, this is just a very fancy way of saying left, and this is a really, really fancy way of saying right. So now it comes back to that idea about general shape. You've got a quartic, which is a cousin of a quadratic, with a negative coefficient. So when I graph it on my calculator, or I think about it in my brain, the ends are going to go down, down. So on the left side, your function is heading towards down, 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 which we call negative infinity. And on the right side, your function is, again, heading down, 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 which we say negative infinity. So the template, the memorization of that, which you probably already kind of have memorized by now, that's probably the hardest part. And then over here in the f of x blanks, I'm just kind of asking you, is it going up or is it going down? And how do you say that? I'm going to let you hang around with those. Try those on your own. This is the notation is probably what's bothering some kids on this section. So I give you a function, which his name is f of a, but this is the function's body. This is the recipe, and they want you to evaluate it for a equals -5. So the notation that you should get used to using is this. My function, when I plug in a -5, is, and this is work that can be done either in your head or on your calculator, and I think on your calculator is a safe bet. You're going to rewrite the function, but I'm going to take all the a's out, and in place of all the a's, I'm going to throw in a -5. Now notice I'm using parentheses, and I'm using them every place that I take an a in. So, -5 right here, -5 right here, -5 right here, and you know, even your math teacher, I am not going to do this in my head, right? This is going to be typed on my calculator. Now in your class, we also showed you a little shortcut for how to do this on the calculator using the storing feature. So you could have, I'm going to little or here, you could use the stow key, which is that weird little arrow, and then, I did this wrong, excuse me. You'd have to type the -5 first, and then you hit the stow key, and you store it as X. Stands for store. Then you just would type x to the third plus 11x squared plus 26x minus 20 and hit enter. And that, in my opinion, is a little safer for kids to do because they don't have to worry about extra parentheses when they're directly evaluating. It really doesn't matter. What I don't want you to do, and I know this sounds weird, I don't want you to do a bunch of mental math. And if you do a bunch of mental math and you're taking a test, if you have a calculator next to you, please double check your mental math because I'm marking a lot of people wrong for things they shouldn't be getting wrong. Okay, so your job is to finish up this remediation page. I know I didn't actually give you the answer on that one. You have a key on the back. You need to finish it to earn your retake, get everything done, and of course come in for help. And if you feel like you still need help, go ahead and watch the full lesson on 5.1. All right, good luck.